guys, this week, the Travelall gets new rear fender flare. Hey guys, so this week, while we still got a clean shop, we're going to go ahead and replace this monstrosity with a smaller welding cart. I've got a lot of welding to do at the back of the Travelall, and I just have gotten tired of shuffling the tank and then shuffling the welder around. So I'm building a smaller welding cart that I can get farther down the side of the Travelall so I can do all that work on that back quarter. Because what we're really trying to get to this week is installing new fenders on the back of the Travelall. That's going to take a lot of work, it's all a ton of welding, so we've got to be able to get the welder back there without the huge fight. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and give us a like. Let us know what's working for you. Anyway, let's get this new cart built so we can get stuck back into the Travelall. Hey guys, decisions have been made. I picked up this Dakota just the other day, and this is going to provide all our new fenders. It's actually in really good body shape. We do have to contend with this body line here. I've been thinking about it, not quite sure what I'm going to do, but we'll see. These plastic will come off, but there's good fenders under there, it seems like. We may also just take the whole fender well and just adapt it over, or at least part of it. We'll just have to see what's going to work out for the best. But this thing is in surprisingly good body shape, and it's going to serve a few purposes. One, it's going to provide us with multiple fender arches so that we can keep making progress on the Tallhoe. It is also the proper wheelbase length for another project that you guys haven't seen on the channel, but that I've owned for a few years now. I am building a 4-door 1985 Nissan 720 truck. And this is the wheelbase that I want for that pickup. So I'm going to use this frame under that, I think. We'll have to see, make sure the frame's a good width, but I think it will be okay. It was also the very first time a friend of mine and I co-own this trailer. This is a new trailer to us. We made a bunch of modifications. It's the first time we've had a chance to use it. And everything went really well. We had a few moments of terror when we were towing, and we had too much weight on the back end, so we threw the transmission and the transfer case out of the bed into the tongue, and man, this thing towed great after that. You can see the body on this thing is all actually quite clean. So I'll be taking pieces out of this in order to continue working on the Travelall. I will probably sell the cab, just disassemble and sell the cab, see if I can't get a little money back out of it. I did not pay a whole ton for this thing, honestly. I paid $200 plus trip cost to drive down and get it. Has the V6 in it. Would have been awesome if it had had the 5.2 or the 360. But it's got the 3.9 liter V6. Manual transmission, 4-wheel drive. So it may be that that drivetrain actually powers my truck for a little while. After I finish building the truck, I can put it on this frame and go from there. We'll just have to see what happens. I really have no idea. That's quite a bit further out. But anyway, just wanted to share with you guys the next step in building the Tallhoe and prepping for some other projects. So I've been putting some real thought into narrowing my welding cart. A long time ago when I lived in a different house, I widened it that way, put the really big tires all on it, because most of my welding was actually done in my backyard, and so I had to drag my welding cart all the way from my garage out into the backyard, over the grass and all of that. And so at the time that made really good sense. It also gave me a workbench to work on when I was back there, which is why it has the table on it. But in the place I'm in now, my garage is too narrow to really use it a lot. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but often the welder is just kind of sitting on the ground, and shuffling that thing around is just a nightmare. So I've been thinking a lot about redoing that welding table, or maybe leaving it as is and moving it somewhere for when I need it, but building another one. Anyway, I've had this tool cart for a number of years, and it's mostly just been kind of sitting around covered in garbage in my way. I don't really need it as a tool cart, but it does seem like, with just some basic modification, it might become a really good welding cart. So what I'm thinking is I can pull this piece and flip it around and maybe set it wide this way. The welder will be able to sit on top of it, or if not directly on top, with only a little bit of modification, it'll sit on top. I'll remove this whole tabletop here completely, and then back here behind this rod is where I will put the tank. And then I will probably need to narrow the track width here some. Just bring these each in maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches on each side, narrowing the entire thing. But then I will be able to store the welder on top, all of my welding supplies inside, and then also have the cart attached. So there's still some thought that I've got to put into exactly what I want to do, but I'm going to get cranking on that and see what we can come up with. Well, that fit is pretty darn decent. It overhangs on this side just a little, so I may just cut right here and fold that lip out. But otherwise, that's a pretty nice fit. I like it. Alright, I bent that flange down under here. That thing's fitting quite nicely now. So the next step is to bend up a ring to put under the tank. And to do that, I'm going to use my pipe anvil. Not perfect, but got us a fair bit of the way there. Now I just need to fit it around the tank. There is the new finished welding cart. So you can see the welder fits on there pretty well. I guess it could slide back a hair farther, but it fits on there pretty well. Attached the fire extinguisher to the front of it. We've got just welding goggles, other wire. This is now full of all my welding accessories and various other bits and bobs having to do with welding. Welded this ring down here on the bottom just to kind of stabilize the base. And then up here, got the chain, and that snaps in to both of those, and we cut a small curve across here, just kind of give it something to seat into. To get the chain on, you have to have this raised all the way up. There's not enough slack to snap the chain into place. You simply have to, up top, up here, snap the chain into place and then wiggle it down. This little arm tightens it into place and is also holding the wrench I use to tighten up the pressure regulator. So yeah, there we go. New welding cart. We'll see if that's going to do a better job. I'm afraid these casters just suck, so those may need to be replaced sooner rather than later. I may need to tie all of that into this upright. Currently it's only attached at the bottom. It's not tied to the actual upright. So I may need to do something about that as well. But for now, we're gonna call that done. Hey guys, so got the Dakota backed up into the driveway. We're actually right at the back corner of the Travelall. I'm standing just outside of my shop. We've got this thing backed up here so we can start cutting off some panels and see just exactly how they're going to work on the Travelall. I just pulled off the plastic wheel arch cover, and underneath everything looks every bit as good as could have been hoped. It's fantastically clean under here. So here you're looking at the wheel arch. All this dirt is where that plastic piece was. And hopefully you guys can kind of see it. Just how large that flare really is. It tapers down and tapers completely out at this body line. Now this body line may end up causing me some problems. I really do not know what I'm going to do about that. However, the Travelall actually has a similar body line, but I think less significant down here along the bottom. So I don't know if maybe I just want to keep that transition. I mean, there is also a trim panel that covers it, which I do have over here. And you can see even the backing edge of the trim follows that transition to a point anyway. Or if I even just don't need to come up that high, and so I can cut the bottom out of that. So really, there's lots of things to figure out. But to figure them out, I'm going to have to cut it off. I'm also considering taking this entire wheel tub with it. See if I can use that to help mate up to the Tahoe body. I'm just going to have to start cutting and figure this stuff out, though. But isn't that a sweet flare? Yeah, it is. So, obviously, it's going to be really, really difficult to fit this whole unit with this intersection intact. I could potentially take off the tire and then try to fit it up in there. But with what I have left over from the Tahoe and what I have here, I don't really feel like it's necessary that I actually keep all of this. I wasn't sure, so I did it this time, just in case it would be easier. I don't think it's going to make anything better or easier. So what I'm going to do is kind of on a round here, just a slight curvature, I'm going to cut out the inner face so that mostly I just have the upper top. I don't think I even need all of it, but I think I need at least a good 6 to 7 inches once I'm up in there. But once I have the 6 to 7 inches that connect to the fender, I'd really like to leave intact with this factory seam and spot welds in place. And then I can start figuring out, maybe a little bit of hammering and cutting and shaping, and I can connect what's left of the Tahoe, and I tried to leave quite a bit, to what I have here from the Dakota. So we're going to make some cuts and see if we can kind of pseudo-ghetto test fit this thing. Really, I have way too much. This extends over the door. I have no idea how this length compares to the back of Travelall, but whatever. We're just going to kind of goof around and see what we come up with. Well, obviously it's not fitting down there, but if you're just looking at the flare, I don't think I regret anything. I just gotta figure out how to get it all fitted. I have no idea what I'm doing, by the way. That's why I started with such a large piece, so I could slowly whittle my way down to what I might actually use. Getting there, but I'm not there yet. It's the middle of May, and it's snowing pretty heavily right now. It's actually okay. We super need the water, but it is pretty funny. Because of the snow, I just decided to real quick cut the other fender well out. Got it laying right there. That's about the same amount of fender that I have been working on the other side. So we're just gonna throw this in the garage under the Travelall for now. There. And then that's everything I need off the Dakota for the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back down where I've got it parked in the backyard. And then I think from there, we're going to have to pull the Travelall out into this snowy mess. Because I want to decide just how high up I'm going to mount that new fender arch. So I did a little bit of visual test fitting out in the driveway. I backed this thing back out. I didn't really record any of that. I was just looking at things, trying to decide exactly where I want this to fit. So I made myself a couple of reference marks to really line it up. I've got spacers under here just kind of holding it up. But this is more or less where this thing is going to live. There's some things I don't know how to do, and some just choices I have to make. Here and here are not the same height from the ground, which means they're at different points on the circle, so I can't just measure here to decide, excuse me. So I can't just measure here to decide if I've got this properly centered. Also, this has a small curve to it, so I don't know how to properly decide where to measure from to find middle, so I can't just plumb bob it off of there. It may be that I just don't even want it quite centered because of the difference in heights here. I'm not really sure. As well as this opening is about 2 inches narrower than I think the Tahoe opening was. Maybe even 3 inches narrower, which is quite a bit. And I was a little concerned that might be a thing I would have to deal with. The Dakota's a smaller truck, so it may be running smaller wheel openings. But there's enough there, and visually, I think it works out okay. So I don't think that is the worst thing ever. That being said, I guess if I wanted to do anything about it, now is the time. I can split that here and put in 3 inches. Fitzy's Fabrications, a channel I've referenced many times, he shows how to do that on a build he's working on called Krusty, and so I guess that is an option I could take here and just widen these out a little bit as well. But I don't feel like that's necessary. I don't think I'm going to go to that step. And if I come to regret it, well, I guess I come to regret it. These tires are 265 70R17s. That should make them very close to a 31 inch. I think that's actually even maybe a 31.5 inch. I could probably fit some 275/70s in here, but that's probably about as big as I can go before I really start running into interference issues. Maybe I could squeeze something a little bit bigger. 33 is going to be the absolute max tire size this thing would ever be able to fit. And that probably is the absolute max tire size I ever really want to go. I don't want a giant vehicle. I don't need it on 37s or anything, so I'm fine with that. I think I'm doing a lot of talking right now because I don't actually know exactly how to move forward. So I think I need to just suck it up, pick something, and start working. So one of the first things, this panel goes up above this body line. So we're definitely going to trim the panel down lower below the body line. This panel overlaps the door frame. We're definitely going to trim it back there. I do want the body to come pretty far down like this, which is much, much lower than where the Travelall body came to, maybe around here. So I will be completely reconstructing this back corner somehow. Also, I've got this steep kick in this thing that I don't necessarily want there. So I need to figure out if I'm going to do anything about that, or if maybe I'm going to leave it and just run that kick going all the way back. But I don't know. That just doesn't appeal to me right now, but that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right now. Up here at the front, I've got to shorten this, and I'm going to try to smooth some of this kink out of this, maybe by putting a cut in here and smoothing the actual curve. But we've got some cutting to do on this. We've got some the trim panel to remove off the body. All right, it's time to stop talking and get working. I think that turned out all right. I've still got a bit of a nub right there, but once I weld it, I think I can grind that back to the shape I need it to be. And same thing here. Seems like I was actually able to pull a pretty fair curve out of those. I am going to have to change the shape of all this down here. But that's going to be, cut off some, notch this to rotate it up, put a bend, all that fun. So that can still be figured out. Overall, though, very happy with how that worked.
that's basically what we're looking at. I don't really know how to make sure I'm putting it where I want it, honestly. Take some measurements, see what I can figure out.
So that's as far as we're going to get on this episode. We figured out just exactly where that rear fender is going to live. There's not really any science behind it. That last shot is me just sitting there staring at it and going, do I like it or do I not? Do I like it or do I not? Finally, I decided I liked it, so I'm just going to roll with it. Hopefully it's good enough, because from here on out, the other side, I'm just going to end up trying to match to it as best as I can. Next step is going to be actually cutting that patch into the Travelall. I may shave it down a little bit more here or there. The shape's not set. But once we've got that patch ready to install, I've been anchoring it with some screws, so it's going back in the same place every time now. We're just going to get it back in that place. We'll cut it and butt it from there. And then next steps, once we've got that fully welded in and ground back, we've got to climb inside and figure out how to make all those pieces fit together on the inside, which is actually quite a bit harder than just fitting this flare. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you.